Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Small Biz Stories. That's right. And this week, as you know, every week the guests are just all fabulous. We have a local New Jersey photographer, Janet Joyner, and her business, it's an eponymous name, right? Janet Joyner Photography, so easy to remember. She really stood out in a crowd of folks we met at a Chamber of Commerce event in Jersey when she gave me her business card. We're going to talk about that in just a moment and why. Janet, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, I love being with other Jersey girls, right? I know everybody knows you can hear my accent. I'm from Canada, right? We know all of that, but I've been in Jersey long enough that I get to hold the title Jersey girl. And so whenever I get the chance to meet other female founders, particularly in Jersey, I want to hear their story. And other people do too. So tell us your story. How did you get into photography? Because we know it wasn't the first thing you did in a career.
No, it wasn't. I've always been an amateur photographer. I was always that annoying uh, family family person who, it's time for pictures, and people would grumble. Of course, those same people now are saying, "Do you have that picture?" And so, but I've always loved it. Never thought I could make a career of it. Always loved children, so I became an elementary school teacher. And I taught when I first got out of school, and I had fun with the kids. I cooked with the kids. I sewed with the kids. Um, but they were still learning, so it was good. But my husband went back to grad school in Michigan. I was in New Jersey. Husband went to grad school in Michigan. I left. I had my own kids. Um, and then when they got to be school aged, I went back to teaching, and it had totally changed. It was all about the test. They wanted you. It was all about the test scores. If it wasn't had anything to do with what was on the test, it was kind of frowned upon. So they didn't really want you cooking with the kids and sewing with the kids. And every time I heard myself saying, "You have to know this. It's on the test," I cringed. Probably wouldn't have left on my own, but the budget got cut, and I got laid off. And I was like, okay, sign from the universe. I wasn't really happy. So, what else would I want to do? I was knocking on 50's door. I was, almost 50. And I was like, I love photography. I love taking pictures. Why didn't I try that? You're never too old, right? Um, and, it hasn't been easy. I've been in it for a little over 10 years now. It hasn't been easy, but the ups and downs of your own business is really hard sometimes. But I really love what I do. I especially love making women. Part of I do a lot of headshots, but I also do contemporary glamour photography, and I love taking women who don't feel beautiful or look beautiful, especially women who are over 40 who have put all their energy into their family, and put themselves on the back burner. And so now they think they're too old, they're too fat, they're too this, they're too that. They look in the mirror and they tear themselves apart. I love to let them see themselves as the way the world sees them. Beauty is ageless, and so if I can let them see the beauty that they've always had, I just that gives me such joy.
Oh, there's so much in that. So I always ask our guests, what do you think you're really good at? But I think you just answered that. You have the ability, and I've seen it in your photos, to find, I guess, that inner beauty and find a way for it to come out. Because not we all, there's a lot of women out there who are extremely confident in how they look and have no issues in front of the camera. I'm not one of them. I noticed a few years ago, I'm like, what are these things? These are jowls. What the what? Where did those come from? Right?
Well, it's all about the posing and the lighting. You know, yeah, you just I always say when somebody comes in front of my camera, I'm like, I rules you don't have to remember, because I will walk you through everything. You have to feel comfortable. But I'm like, you have to sit up straight all the time. You have to create space around the body. You have to like if you turn, you make yourself thinner. So, you really shouldn't be straight onto the camera if you're taking a picture. Just like turn slightly because you're making yourself thinner. And the minute, it's funny because the minute I say you're making yourself thinner, okay, I'm there.
Do you want me to move? Right.
Yeah, right, right. And then remember, space around the body, you make yourself thinner. Oh, okay, I got you. So it's really funny, but yeah, and then it's like I take a few pictures and I turn the camera around and they're like, "Oh, that's me," and I'm like, "That's all you." It's you think a model looks like a model on the street? No, they don't. So you just have to show that. And I always say, I tell you the way the world sees you, not the way you see yourself when you're looking in the mirror. Because, we don't tear people apart. We don't look, I look at somebody and I'm like, maybe they have beautiful eyes. And I'm always quick to tell them that. I'm like, oh my, your eyes are gorgeous. Or, oh, I love your hair, or, you can always find something positive to say about somebody. So you just, if something really strikes you about something, tell them, make their day. So I just try to highlight that in a photograph, especially the eyes, because of course the eyes are windows to the soul. So, I try to say, make that connection with the camera. So I make people feel comfortable. I keep talking to them, and once you relax, you can let your true beauty shine. So that's what I do.
And I think it's so important, that message of being kind. Offer someone a compliment. I mean, you don't want to be trite about it and just
Right,
try to force it. But
right,
especially as entrepreneurs and helping each other, as you said, the road is bumpy, right?
right,
You've got some good days, but there's a lot of crap days in between those good days. And just every once in a while, someone saying, wow, you look really good today. That color's really good on you, or
exactly.
anything that you can say with honesty.
Uh huh.
It makes such a difference, right? I love hearing it. Now, in our podcast, we always offer tips up front. We don't wait till the end because I hate that. I'm one of those people when you have this webinar and you're like, and we're going to tell you the secret to whatever it is, right? That we're pitching and we're hawking our snake oil today. And we're going to tell you 58 minutes into the webinar how you too can whatever have the body of whomever, right? Giselle Bundchen or some other supermodel. But we're going to tell you at 58 minutes and then we're going to charge you 95.99 for, whatever, right? And we don't do
Right,
that. Tips up
right.
front. Okay, Janet, you have taken photos of multiple women, particularly those of us gals who are in our middle chapter of our journey on this planet. Give us some tips. What can we do?
Um, well, like I said, you always back straight. Like if you could see me, like I'm in black. This is black. If I have my hands by my side, I have made myself 4 inches wider because all the camera sees is arm to arm. You get your arms out from away from your body. I say create space because it breaks up the eye, makes you look thinner. Um, I also tell older women that do something I call turtle. You just kind of stick your neck out. If you can see, if I'm like this, my neck
Yeah.
is wider. If you stick your neck out like a turtle, you make yourself again thinner. It thins out. It highlights your chin line and kind of thins out just a tad, but enough that it kind of makes a difference. And like I said before, if you're taking a picture, go to the side a little bit because again, you're thinning yourself out. So those are my top tips. I always say there are 3 tips. Oh, and always never ever ever stand flat footed on in a something. I say pop a knee because if you pop a knee, you're going to shift your body and you're shifting a hip out. And of course, with women, it creates those curves and makes you look better. So those are my little tips that I always tell people that hopefully they'll remember them and next time they take a picture. And it's funny because if I do a presentation at a chamber or something, and I tell those tips, a few weeks later, I always get somebody say, oh, "I thought about you. I was taking a picture and I put my arms out or I turned a little bit or something." It's so funny, but it makes them feel good and it makes me feel good. So
Oh, I love it. This is what we need, right? We all need these tips. I mean, I think this is excellent. Talk to us about the importance of a good photo with respect to where we are today, social media. having your presence online, particularly as somebody who's aging. Maybe you're in between jobs because we all know ageism is not a thing, right? And for those of us who can't see the video, I have air quotes. Ageism doesn't exist. Ha ha ha. Right?
Yeah.
So what do we do? How do we move forward and present our best face forward in this very, very judgy world?
Well, I think it's really important. Like I've seen some people, they love themselves in a picture and they were standing next to somebody else. I've never seen those pictures. And they try to crop themselves out to um to show that one picture, but it's so obvious that you're you're not. Even if you take a selfie, don't take a selfie looking down at the camera. Like you have to put it high up, or even straight on, but even high up is better, just because it makes you look better. So it's really important, especially today. A lot of people are doing Zooms, whatever. They're not. You're not meeting face to face. I love to meet face to face, but it seems like a lot of people just don't do that anymore. And so your headshot is what makes the difference. People are going to make those snap decisions now, looking at that headshot. So it's best to have a professional headshot. Because I will. I always say I don't take away your your wrinkles. I take away the shadows from the wrinkles. So that's not the first thing you see. I'm not going to make, if you're 40, I'm not going to make you look 20, but I'm going to make you look the best you possibly can. I with lighting and with posing, and then with Photoshop. Like I said, I can lighten the wrinkles a little bit, um, just so you put your best foot forward. And like you said, ageism is a thing. So if they're going to look at a picture and you look old, you're telling on yourself. So so it's best
That's
to have
just
a
it.
strategy. Yeah, let me do my magic.
See, and that's just it. I really think there is a lot of magic in who is behind the lens. Having
Mm,
done several professional headshots before, oh my goodness, cringeworthy, right? The cheesy shots where they're like, yeah, put your hand on the chin, and put your elbow up here, pose here, put on this block they have, move here. And you're like, oh, and then you end up with this awkward, my arms aren't supposed to bend that way photo, and it's
right.
coming through in my non-fake smile, right? It's just, they're brutal. So, how do you get folks to calm down when they're taking a photo and they're nervous?
I just keep talking. I just keep, how'd you hear of me? What do you do? Wow, how long have you been doing that? You just keep them talking, so they're not really thinking about it. And then, excuse me, while you're doing it, oh, okay, move this way. That's go. Oh, and then I don't care if I've taken the worst. Not all the pictures are great pictures. I'm looking at, oh my God, that's great. That's great. But sometimes when I really love it, I'm like, oh my God, that is so good. And I do it really without thinking. But the more I say, oh, that looks great, they relax. They're like, oh, and then I show them back the camera. I'll take a really good picture. I'll show them back the camera. And they're like, wow, maybe you should know about, and they'll trust me. So, when they see their pictures afterwards, when I send them their pictures, they're like, "Wow, I love these." I had one guy who's like, "I can't. You're not going to get a good shot." It was like a dare. You're not going to get a good shot. And when I sent him, these are the best pictures I ever took, or I've ever had. So, yeah, it's like, yeah, let me make you comfortable. When you're comfortable and you're relaxed, it'll show in the picture.
It makes such a huge difference. And for the folks that are listening, sorry you're missing the video, image of it here, but I've got a business card from Janet and I'm showing it. And it's kind of like, I don't know how it's going to come through on the video, but there we go. What you see are a couple of things. One, you see a fabulous photo of Janet holding a camera. So what does this woman do for a living? Duh, she's a photographer. So that's number one. Number two, what I love about it is that it's a very simple name and font, Janet Joyner Photography. Yeah, got it. And my favorite part for old eyes, for people that still trade physical business cards, there is a giant phone number on it. So you can actually see it without finding and hunting down your cheater readers to figure out what's the freaking number? Like, how do I call her? And then on the back, right to her brand, she has a beautiful three generation photo of some women here. who are posing. So it really emphasizes everything about the brand. And that was one of the reasons that when I saw Janet and met her at the chamber event, I thought, wow, I really want to have you on the show because we have so many female founders that who listen to this, and all male founders too, who are looking for better photos. And what's the importance of it and how do they get around? Anyway, long story short, I think that if everyone can think about a business card like that, I think it adds enormous impact. What have you experienced when you've handed your card out, Janet? What have you seen? What's the impact been?
Well, as you showed that card, you had one image on the back of the card. My cards have several images, several, I have at least 25 to 30 different images on the back of my card. So when somebody says, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a portrait photographer, but I'd rather show you than tell you. So I take out my card and I said, these are my business cards, but this is my work. And so I go through, as I go through, I people are like, wow, that's really good, and then they remember me. They like, oh, I've never seen anybody do that before. And so they remember me. And so when I meet them again, maybe they don't remember my name, but they're like, you're a photographer, you're the one with a card. And I'm like, yep, it's me. And that's what it's all about, right? You have to be memorable to people so that they'll think of you whenever they do need a photographer. They're like, I got that card. So, and I also use it as marketing with my current, the people that I put on the back of the card, my current clients, because I'll send them a couple of cards and they're with the picture that they chose. So that's a picture that they love. And so either they will keep that card, because who's going to throw out a card with a picture of themselves they really love? Or I send them two so that maybe they can give that card to, a significant other or somebody, and they're going to have that card as well. And they'll keep, I had a client whose husband had his wife's card in his wallet, and he was able to, pull it out when somebody needed a photographer because he had that card on it. So it's kind of twofold with marketing.
Well, I think it's also a really, like I said, a very good tool and a tip that I wanted to share with our audience because it is getting increasingly hard to stand out in this world, right?
Yeah.
To get
Yeah.
seen. It's very, very difficult. There's all kinds of AI blockers now that block ads from vendors. When you're scrolling on your social media, you can easily scroll past a vendor. They flag it, oh, this is a vendor, right? A
Mhm.
sponsored thing or whatever else. So you can
Right.
scroll past it and pay no attention.
Right.
There are umpteen gazillion of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Photographers, marketeers, business consultants, authors, blah, 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 right? Then there's the whole offshore thing. The talent pool has just increased ginormously, right? Around the
Right.
planet. So, how do
Right.
you stand out? It's about finding creative ways to do that. For
Right.
example, one influencer last week, I've already forgotten her name again, but I remember her story. She rented a billboard on Times Square to
Mm.
promote her new cookbook with the goal of selling more cookbooks than, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on her name. The cookbook of all cookbooks lady. Oh my goodness. Anyway, blanking. But she wanted to sell more than her. She hasn't, but still a really good approach and being different. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're trying to create brands and talking about this and that amongst women, how can women do a better job helping each other out in business?
Um, just keeping them in mind. I attend like a couple of women only. Well, there's one chain. I belong to two different chambers, and they both have specific women only network events. One is once a week, and one's once a month. And I just find, like, especially the one that I've been a part of the chamber for years now, like 5 or 6 years, and you get to know the same women, and having one-on-ones with, like, really getting to know the person. If you meet somebody, and it doesn't have to be somebody that you um, really think, oh, you don't just say, oh, they can help me in my business. It doesn't. You don't know who they know, or you don't know who. So just if somebody seems like interesting and somebody, oh, would you like to have a one-on-one so we can get to know each other? And I always say when I do that, when I'm having a one-on-one, you kind of end with, okay, how could I help you? Who are you looking for? So when I come across somebody who's looking for whatever, insurance or something, I'm like, oh, yeah, I have somebody who's really great. And I've talked to them, I've learned their path, I've gotten to know them, felt comfortable with them enough to trust them. Because you're not really going to recommend somebody that you've just met. You have to trust them. So the only way to trust them is to have, like get to know them, have one-on-ones with them, sit and talk with somebody. So I just think you just have to invest time with people, and it'll pay off in the end.
I think that that's a message that has been lost in this
Mm,
post-pandemic era,
right,
that
right.
we were all accustomed to going to conferences, networking, all of this sort of stuff regularly. And then
Hmm.
everything went virtual and it sort of stayed virtual. And hybrid, I think, is a bit of a misnomer. Hybrid means, yeah, pretty much no one's going to show up or log into the video recording. And if they do log in, they're probably off doing laundry or walking the dog anyway, but they're logged in, right?
Right.
So we've lost that value. Talk to us about some of the valued experiences you've had by networking in person.
I've just, I mean, I've met friends, and clients. Like these people were friends, and then when they needed, uh, well, I had something called 40 over 40, which I was trying to market to women over 40, and these women who were kind of hesitant to get in front of a camera trusted me. They're like, oh, I'll do it. They were, I kind of asked one person to do it, to get it started, and she was not comfortable in front of the camera at all. But she came because it was me, because I was her friend asking, and then she ended up loving the pictures. So I just think you have to, when you when you need something from somebody and they trust you, they'll do it for you, even though in the end it ended up being for themselves as well. Because that with contemporary glamour, yeah, maybe you're hesitant to do it, but it's empowering. When you feel beautiful and you feel uh excited about what's going on, it just gives you so much confidence. So I just feel like I've really made a lot of friends just going through these networking events. So it's been not only good for the business but good for me.
Well, it's funny you say that. I haven't been on the scene here long with respect to the chambers of New Jersey, but I've made a commitment in 2025 to be more physically present in front of folks because well, I'm zoomed out. I mean, that's really where it is.
Yeah,
Zoomed out, and that really hasn't led to anything anyway. It feels very pressured and artificial. You go into a breakout room, you have 2 minutes, go, Laurelyn, Janet, hi, yeah,
yeah,
next.
I hate
And
those.
then it's like barf, 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 barf. I'm just not a fan. But one of the things and one of the reasons why I do this podcast or have conversations with any folks when I network is I love learning. I always get one nugget of value or more from the people I talk to. And at the
Right,
chamber events I've been to, no, there's no business that I've had from them. Again, it's also early days. But that said, I am meeting so many interesting folks, guys and gals, and learning all kinds of things from them. Oh, I've done this to help my business grow. Oh, I've done this. Have you tried this thing? This is a really good marketing tactic. I'm like,
right,
wow,
right.
dang. So it's fueling that
Hmm.
entrepreneurship, I guess, gas tank that I have, because as we
Hmm.
talked about through the show here, you can go pretty low and empty sometimes, and you just
Right,
need a bit more fuel. And maybe it's your turn that day to be the one who's getting fueled. Whereas the other times when you are up, it's your turn to give the fuel, right,
right,
to the other business
right.
owners. And I love the community.
Oh, I do too. I do too. It's like you said, it just feeds my soul. If I feel bad if I don't go, because it's like you just you're happy to see these women, they're happy to see you, and it makes you feel good. So
Oh, I know. There's the upcoming coffee, the morning coffee, the monthly coffee with the women. It's like, I'm so bummed. I've only got to one, but I can't go to the next one because I'm going to be actually on the left coast doing a training. But just dang, because everybody really, and this is what I find interesting and that has surprised me. Women are among the first to tear you down when it comes to social media, social anything like, oh my God, she looks fat, she's awful, she's this, she's that, just horrific. Or in
Hmm.
business, oh, she must have bought her followers, she did this, she did just scathing, scathing, not
Yeah.
helping each other at all. But in the community, I said that's where I haven't been on the scene long, as I've said, but I feel supported. And wow,
Yeah.
like what a huge difference that is.
Yeah. What in one of my networking groups, that's the one that meets every week. Um, this one of the women started. It was literally called love bombing. I think we're some people didn't like the word bomb, so it's like love tapping or something. Every week, we put our name in a hat and we pick somebody new, and we follow them on Instagram or Facebook, wherever they are, and we when we see their post, where they know it's like we picked them the week before, so next week they have time to get ready to get all their posts out, and so now have all these new followers, and whenever anybody sees a post, we're trying not only to like the post but to comment because we know that raises the
Right.
algorithm, right? So now you have all these women supporting you, and once people follow you, they see your um posts now every week. As long as you keep interacting with them, you'll see their posts every week. So you have this whole group of women now supporting you. So it's been really, really
Oh, that's lovely. I love that. And that algorithm, I call it feeding the beast, right?
great.
Everybody's like, okay, like mine, I'll like yours. Kind of, I keep feeding the beast. So we are almost out of time. So tell folks how they can find you and where they can find you.
Okay. Well, you can go check out my website at Janet Joyner. That's JanetJoyner.com. You can call me at 201-357-5699. You can follow me on Instagram at Janet Joyner Photography. Also on Facebook, but what I post on Instagram automatically posts to Facebook, but it's also Janet Joyner Photography. That's primarily where I am.
Excellent. We have our last question, which is my signature question of my podcast. And I've had approaching now, I think I've really got to look at the number. I'm somewhere around 250 guests now.
Oh, great.
So yeah, it's been a while. We were ranked for a while. I got burned out like everybody else, but we're bouncing back. Let me tell you, bringing back fabulous guests and all kinds of goodies. So the question is, when we look into your closet, now you've got to be very descriptive because we have some folks that are just on the audio version here. They don't have the video version. And we look into your closet, Janet. There's got to be some pair of footwear, shoes, boots, something that you instantly gravitate to because they just represent who you are, they personify you, they give you good energy. What are we looking at? Just describe it for us.
Well, I don't know about it. I've been known to wear a lot of red. That just I didn't really realize that until somebody pointed out. It's like you're always in red. Red makes me feel good. So you will see a lot of red tops, red cover ups, red not red pants, but just red scarves. That just I like red. So red makes me feel good, gives me a lot of energy. So that's what you'll see in my closet. You'll see a lot of red.
Excellent. So, with that, we're going to say goodbye and thank you to the lady in red here, Janet Joyner from Janet Joyner Photography, right in the heart of Jersey. We really appreciate all the tips and the time you've given today to our audience, telling us that yes, even over 40, it is possible to take a good photo, right?
Yes, it is. It is. Thank you. It's been wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Janet.
Okay. Bye bye.